to Catherine Parker.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, if you could pull up the presentation. I'm going to talk to you about the endangerment of our language. And the first thing I want to do is ask you a question real quick. And just keep this question in the back of your head. I'm not really looking for some answers, but think about this. How many fluent speakers do you know that live in Southwest Oklahoma? Think about that, because some of us know some fluent speakers, okay? So that's the question that I want to ask you. And the thought I want to ask you and put in your head is, to what degree of endangerment do you believe the Comanche Nation, the language, is based upon, according to UNESCO? And UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And how do they contribute? Because they do a lot of different things, and language isn't all of them, but the one thing that they do is they are accepted across the world as the gold standard of language vitality. And so, does that mean anything to us? But we have to have a baseline of where we are and where we're going to start. So, if I ask you the question, to what degree of endangerment do you believe the Comanche language is in? Based upon UNESCO, there are the answers. A, is safe. Do you think our language is safe right now? B, are we vulnerable? That should be C, definitely endangered. But E, severely endangered. F, critically endangered. Or G, extinct. So we know that we're not extinct because we have at least one speaker here. So, and just think about that for a second, because we're going to discuss this for a minute. Okay, according to UNESCO, in 2010, they believe the Comanche language is in a state of severely endangerment. What does that mean? The language is spoken mostly by grandparents and older generations. While the parent generation may understand it, they do not speak it to children or among themselves, for the most part. Now, we may have some that do that, but there's very few. And I just put the little graphic on there that shows where they were then. Now, this particular factor is more than 7 years old, and many of our fluent speakers have passed on, leaving the future of the Comanche language to those who are living and willing to make efforts to revitalize our language. And we've had some just recently that have passed on in the last year. And it's just very sad, because they were some of our few fluent speakers that are left. It's also been said that we've moved down to the next generation of endangerment that I've read about, to critically endangerment, where the youngest speakers are grandparents and older. They speak the language partially and infrequently. The only level below critically endangered is extinct. And that really makes me get anxious when I hear that, because I don't want our language to pass on to this next level of instinct. There's still time for us to do something about our language and bring it back to the resilience that it once was. And I believe that this can happen. And if we all come together as one group of people, this will happen. And it's happened. I recently came back from the UK, and the Welsh language was almost, I mean, they weren't at extinct or critically endangered, but there were many of them that didn't speak it. And now they are so strong with the Welsh language, and it was like a 12-year effort. And it's amazing. We can do this, and I'm excited about it. Okay? And here's another poll question for you. For those who speak Comanche or know someone who speaks Comanche, how fluent do you believe you or they are in the Comanche speaking ability? And there's the novice level. If you go online and you look at the vitality of languages, there are so many different levels of vitality or fluency in the ability to speak those different languages. But this one I really like, because it has more than 3 or 4. And I'm going to just tell you, I'm the novice low, you know, and we have a lot of novice low. You might know just a few words, and maybe it's because I don't feel comfortable, but sometimes when I hear people speak in the Comanche language, I'm like, oh, I know what they're talking about. So maybe I'm not as low as I am, but it's a confidence level for me. And if you go online and you look at the proficiency level and how you can level up, and I know you can't see this very well, but basically, the novice low is, I can't even read it. It combines words and phrases into sentences, you know. So that's what, I mean, for myself, I don't know if I could do that, you know. And I'm not going to read all these to you, but you look at the other side and you go to the advanced high, you can see that the work on supporting opinions, try to hesitate less when you're speaking, add details and explain and clarify meaning. I mean, how many people can do that? So again, if I go to that original question, how many fluent speakers do you know that live in Southwest Oklahoma? There's only very few that I can say, yes, they meet that high advanced area, and we should strive to level up to that high advanced area. So with that in mind, I would like to go over, before we start, the discussion, I'd like to go over a few ground rules because we want to keep this discussion positive and we want to hear your opinion. So we ask that everyone have mutual respect for other people's opinion and to keep the comments positive. We're looking for solutions right now. We're not looking for criticism. And remember, we all have different beliefs. We all have different beliefs about the language. And your opinion matters, and your positive ideas are very welcome tonight. This particular meeting will focus only on the goals and expectations of the discussion. Any questions beyond the goals and expectations can be tabled and answered in subsequent live stream meetings. So we're hoping to do this quite often. I don't know how often, but we're hoping to do this later. So if you do have questions that are outside of where we're going tonight, write them down and give them to Carolyn or Dustin, and then maybe we can address them later on. Thank you.
But